us, please.
Polar bear. I watched what's his name? Fucking Bobcat Goldthwait do stand up one time, and he had this story about a Mexican dude like leering at a polar bear at the zoo and going, "Polar bear, polar bear," and it's like an intrusive thought I have now. I just think about it all the time.
It was an intrusive thought that guy was having.
Yeah.
And now it's infected you miles away.
I also have another polar bear story. I was working at a bar in way back in the day, and this guy came in and he asked me for fucking asked me if he could drop off like a resume or something. It was one of those situations where I was like, sure, pal. Then I threw it in the trash. But he fucking asked, he tried to apply to the bar, but then he just stuck around and he kept talking to me, and he was like, let me tell you this story. I've got a really, he just went into this weird story from his childhood about how him and his friends skipped school one time, and they went to the Bronx Zoo, and they were sneaking around to the Bronx Zoo, and then it's like this long story, and then it sort of concludes with him going, and then a couple of us fell into the polar bear whatever it's called, tank
exhibit
thing. And he turned to me and he said, yeah, sanctuary. Sure, all good words.
Igloo.
He's telling me this long story, and he's like, and you might have seen this on the news in the year, whatever had happened. All three of my friends was eaten by polar bears.
Oh.
And he was like, and that's why I never skipped school again. And then he was like, anyway, here's my resume. Holy shit, dude.
That's like a foundational traumatic experience. Like that would define the rest of your life.
Yeah. I guess he's including that to show that he's like a disciplined worker. He's not going to cut work because one time his friend got etten by a polar bear.
I don't know
he
why
lives like Stand By Me for polar bears.
Yeah.
And he's put it on his resume.
But it had nothing to do with working at a bar. So like, I don't know why he told me that.
That's what you think.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. The polar bear exhibit of podcasts.
Yeah, the sanctuary. Welcome to the Poddamn Sanctuary, where your three pale bear-like creatures live.
It's winter, y'all.
That actually reminds me of a story. When my dad was a little boy, he had shock white hair because it was blonde and in the sun all day in the summer, and it would just turn like basically
so handsome.
White.
Your father.
Well, yeah, but it was a little,
like Dolph Lundgren.
There's not a lot of blonde people anymore, but if you ever see one in the sun, the hair practically becomes white. And he has a story about he was around, driving around like rural Minnesota, and there was this indigenous woman who just stared at him for a moment and just said, "Snowball."
Oh, that rules. Oh man.
I'm sorry. I was very distracted by there aren't as many blonde people anymore. Because that could be true. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
What? No, let's go back to that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, we're losing our blonde people.
I'm fine with it. I don't necessarily care that
I know
much,
it's recessive.
What does that mean again?
So if you have a dominant gene, you only need one copy of it for it to show. But if you have a recessive gene, you need two copies. So if a blonde person with two recessive genes mates with a person with who maybe is also blonde, or not also blonde, but somebody with dark hair, your child is 3 out of 4 chances likely to have dark hair instead of blonde hair.
Right. Yes. And that's why, because there's more... and it's interesting, the human race.
But did you read that somewhere, or are you just shooting from the hip on this?
No, I've heard that. People have said that to me.
Okay.
Somebody got to do something about this. We got to save the blonde people, Maybe.
Yeah. We're walking right into a demographic.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. I don't... I personally don't care if there's not any blonde people, but it will be, it's just going to go away. It's going to be like one of those things like polio or something like that, where people will say, Once upon a time, there were people with natural blonde hair because the color isn't going away. People are going to dye their hair.
Yeah, you can bleach your hair.
Yeah, you can bleach your hair, but like you don't see. I mean, let me ask you this: when was the last time you saw a little kid running around with like bright blonde hair, practically shock white blonde hair?
Well, I live next to an elementary school, so today
I saw
that.
You saw a little blonde kid?
Yeah.
Really?
Only in my dreams.
They're not going to go extinct. I can see if there's less of them, but
it's going to be bred out of, I used to be blonde and that went away too.
That's okay. We're off on another science tangent.
Okay.
But
what'll be funny is during like World War II, a guy trying to survive Nazi Germany, he has to bleach his hair and he just looks like Guy Fieri or like the guy from The Offspring or whatever.
Whoa!
I love
super
looking
Nazi.
like this. So cool.
Unterglieben, Glauben, Glauben.
That's what Dexter Holland was going for.
Yeah, it's late era Kanye trying to blend in Nazi Germany.
Why did Hitler have such a thing for blonde? Because that was his ideal Ubermensch, right?
He's not blonde. As
that's
many
what.
have
Yeah,
pointed
that's what I was
out.
about to say. Like some weird sort of self-loathing thing.
I'm gonna get into this. What are we talking about today?
That's a
Okay.
good idea.
Fine. Speaking of Hitler,